Hello everyone. Welcome to the last session of Amrita IAS monthly current affairs series of this for this prelims 2020. Right. So let's get to it. So first one is Mission Hope. So Mission Hope is basically the UAE's United Arab Emirates first mission to Mars. Okay. So it is the first time an Arab world is having its mission to the Mars, and it is also its first interplanetary mission, right? It is the probe name is Al Amal, which and it is called in Arabic. Expected to reach Mars by February 2021. Okay, Mission Hope by the UAE. And it will be the support of the Japan, right? Successfully launched from the Japan's Space Center. Next is India's in-orbit space debris monitoring and tracking system. Now we know that this debris that is in the space, that is a very important concern going forward. These are also called the space junk. So India, not ISRO this time, remember, not ISRO, but an Indian private sector space startup develops India's first in-orbit space debris monitoring and tracking system by the Dingantra. Dingantra is the name of that space startup. So it will provide the real-time Earth coverage by deploying a constellation of cost-effective nanosatellites in the low Earth orbit. Remember the low Earth orbit. It will help the International Space Agency to track and map of the space debris. So space debris we have known, we have discussed a few initiatives previously as well with respect to this space debris. And just to announce you, this is why I am from August 2020 for prelims 2021 we'll be doing it a big picture stuff, because for example I say we have done it previously, but at the end of the every slide we will have the big picture. So this one we have done previously, I'll set up the month as well. This we have done, so that on one page we have all the steps that are related to that particular topic. Okay, so that will create a very big picture stuff in our mind. Okay, these steps are already being covered. Okay, so coming back to the topic, third one is NEOWISE. So NEOWISE is a comet. Okay, so recently they have discovered, NASA has telescope has discovered a new comet that made its closest approach to the Earth recently. So these comets do not have the light of their own. Please see the difference between comets versus the meteorites versus the meteorites versus the asteroids. So what are the difference between all these things? These things are very small geography things, but sometimes because of small confusion we get it wrong sometimes. Okay, the next is Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network, GOARN. So it's basically a global network. You can see network. So it is composed of numerous technical public health institutions, laboratory NGOs that work together to observe. So alert and response to what? To outbreaks. Outbreaks of what? Diseases. Okay, so evaluate, examine and study the diseases, evaluate the risks that are associated, how to deal with that. So they work closely with the WHO, right? So this is the Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network. So they work alongside WHO and coordinate the complement the work of the WHO with the help of the other players. Next is Venus Coronae. So what is this? Earlier it was thought on the Venus that there is no, that's an inactive planet, right? That no, inactive means there is no geomorphological big process which are happening there. But now recently it has been observed that they have studied 37 active volcanoes that are being there. Okay, so they have studied the formation of Venus ring-shaped volcanic structures called coronae. And the same thing, the how the volcano, the active volcano comes in the Earth, similar the process there from mantle to the crust. Okay, the process is very similar to the how the Earth's volcano function. Okay, next one is Global Fusion Project, that is International Thermonuclear Experiment Reactor. So basically it is one of the world's most ambitious energy project. Okay, one of the most ambitious energy project developed currently being in France, right? So that with the aim to prove the feasibility of the fusion, because you know the fusion process can create some sustainable energy with which can create a carbon free, large scale, less cost energy, because everything is going on energy, right? The oil which is dominating the geopolitics of the world, on many things, and that is also a limited resource. And still we are researches are going on to reduce the cost from the solar and all. But if we can get the energy from the fusion process, we can control it, we can make it a viable scalable project, then it can be a game changer in the long run. Okay. Energy in the sun comes from the fusion process, so that can, you can say, that is one of the motivation behind this particular project. So why recently it's in the news? Because L&T under the Make in India project has provided them a cryostat. Okay. So it is being done in the France. So remember that. So which will be the world's largest magnetic confinement plaza physics experiment, that is ITER. Phobos is one of the two natural satellites of Mars, that is along with the Deimos, Phobos. So it was in the news because the MOM, that is Mars Orbital Mission, the camera that is there, that is Mars color camera, there is captured the image of the Phobos, the closest and the biggest moon of the Mars. Next is asteroid 2020 ND. So on 24th July, this asteroid was very close to the Earth, around 8:43 Indian Standard Time. Okay, so NASA classified these objects as the near Earth object. So they issued a warning basically that this object is very near to Earth, right? 0.34 astronomical units close to planet, right? But so they released the possibility of such threats, but it was not too much close. Next is lunar polar exploration. So India and Japan have decided that they will go for this lunar polar exploration after 2023. So obtain the data and the quantity in the form of the water resources that are available on the moon, right? So Japanese space agency JAXA and ISRO will develop the work. The JAXA will develop the landing module and the ISRO will develop the lander system. Okay, so will be launched from Japan, and designated launch vehicle is H3 rocket, will be developed by the Japan. So a collaboration between India and Japan on this moon front. Next is MISICUS satellite. So in 2016, the China has launched its first satellite, that was the world's first quantum communication satellite, and they have created a lot of ripples in the world because China is really doing a lot in the frontier technology, whether it be the 5G, whether it be the quantum energy, quantum computing. They are making headways, a lot of headways. Okay, so recently it has sent light particles to the Earth to establish the first most secure communication link. It is also called as the quantum key distribution. So this is the phenomena that they have achieved by the MICUS. Okay, so quantum key distribution is a technique that allows the secure distribution of the keys for the use for encrypting and the decryption of the message. So encryption and decryption basically have two type of keys. One is a public key and one is a private key. For example, in the WhatsApp we have end-to-end encryption, right? In the WhatsApp, the message says that we have end-to-end encryption. So for example, you have sent a message. So message has a public key. So the message is now, for example, contained in a box, and that box key is the public key. That message reaches to your friend, that has another key, that is a private key, right? So the public key is also transferred, the private key is also transferred. When both of match, then this person reads that message. In between, nobody in the supply chain can read this particular message. This end-to-end encryption is not present in the SMS. Remember, in the SMS it is not present, in the email it is not present, this end-to-end encryption. Because of this WhatsApp in the news, because of this you may have seen a lot of this nationalist news channel taking up the chats of the people. So where this end-to-end encryption is, so end-to-end encryption comes in the news because of that. Okay, so remember, in the message end-to-end encryption is not there, in the calls end-to-end encryption is not there, but in the WhatsApp they are saying that it is end-to-end encryption. Now let us see a very important concept. Let us understand few concepts. First, we will understand what is a polar vortex. We will not go too much into detail of geography of it, but that much detail that will solve our prelims purpose. First, then we'll understand how they basically they are responsible for creating of the stratospheric polar clouds, right? And then how these two combine for the ozone layer depletion, both at Antarctic mainly and then at Arctic. So this is our purpose for next 2 to 3 minutes, or maybe more than that. So polar vortex. Polar means at the poles. So both the poles, north pole as well as the south pole. First thing. Secondly, it is cold. Okay. Thirdly, it is at the upper tropospheric plate, upper troposphere. So troposphere, the first layer, troposphere, then tropopause, that particular layer that separates troposphere to the stratosphere. So they are merely present at this level, at the tropopause level. Okay, so they reach up to this level, extend from lower levels of from troposphere to the this extent. Okay, now you also know that at the poles, the tropopause is like troposphere is like this, or tropopause is like this. At the pole they are low, then at the equator they are high, then this. So at the equator the highest length is of the troposphere and the length is less at the pole, right? This is one thing you know. So stratosphere is relatively low here at the poles. Other places it is quite high, the stratosphere. So these are the few basic details. So basically you must have read these jet streams which are there. So polar jet stream which is moves like this. So the polar jet stream which is circumpolar in nature, in that confines basically the boundary of this polar vortex. So polar vortex you can imagine just like a cyclone. So they have the high base in the center, high pressure area in the center, and they themselves are of low pressure. Okay, high pressure because of the cold, because of the north pole is cold in nature, right? So the polar vortex are actively, just one second, they are closely associated with the jet stream. So jet stream you can say decides the boundary of the polar vortex, right? Okay, they are circumpolar means the whole pole like this they do in between. They are mainly formed in the winters because of the cold, because and obviously they'll become weak in the summer, right? Now this is the very basic concept. Now sometimes you have seen in the, for example, last year 2019, you have seen many cities in the USA getting frozen like anything. For example, Chicago river was frozen, a lot of north cities, Canada were all frozen. Why? Because this polar vortex, as I told you, the jet stream is basically the boundary of it. When the jet stream become waves, they become wavy like this. So when they become wavy, this cold moves there, and when this cold moves down, it creates a lot of cold in the north hemisphere like this, you can see, right? So they create a lot of problems in the North America, very hot, very cold, and that is because of this happens occasionally because of the weakening of this jet stream. Getting my point? Very easy to understand, right? Now these phenomena happen at both the poles, this polar vortex, okay, and they lead to the formation of this polar stratospheric cloud. They are mainly formed during the event of the polar vortex in the winter and more intense at the south pole. Why they are more intense at the south pole? Because at the Antarctic, try to understand why they are more intense at Antarctic. Two reasons. First, the land is not there as compared to Arctic. You know, Arctic is a very small. Then there is North America, there is Russia, there is Denmark, there is Europe. So very less, a lot of land is there. So when the land is very nearby, isolation is less. Whereas in the Antarctica, everything is lonely. No one is there, only water, and water is there. First thing. Second thing, because of that cold, very low temperature goes in the Antarctica as compared to the Arctic. So in Antarctic, a lot of low temperature is there as compared to the Arctic. And that is why the more stronger polar vortex come in the Antarctic, more strong polar stratospheric clouds are formed at the Antarctic, right? Now these polar stratospheric clouds are formed in 12 to 22 kilometers at height of this. They have in them the water, the nitric acid and the sulfuric acid. Okay. Now let us see this phenomena. Now without polar stratospheric cloud, what happens? Let us see. These are the ozone depleting substances such as HFCs, CFCs, sorry, HFC is not a ozone depleting. CFC is an ozone depleting, chlorofluorocarbons. So UV light breaks these chlorofluorocarbons and they create chlorine free radical. This chlorine free radical interacts with ozone and it creates this, they break this ozone molecule into O2. So that is how the ozone hole is formed. Very easy. But they conserve this chlorine, this free radical chlorine, which is the most dangerous particle here. Remember, this chlorine free radical is the most dangerous particle here. Now this, in the absence of the this polar stratospheric cloud, this chlorine finally after the reaction is converted into this. They are relatively stable. They do not convert into this chlorine radical again. So these are reservoirs, very stable reservoirs are there. First point. Second point, what happens when the polar stratospheric clouds are there? So these clouds provide a good space, a good platform for the reactions to take place. First thing. Second thing, what they do, basically they convert these stable chlorine reservoirs, ClO, NO2, HCl, into this, with the help of the HNO3, they convert this into again this free radical. That's all you need to remember. That means the reservoir which was already there, that reservoir again they make this chlorine free radical. Again the chlorine free radical is formed and then again they react with the ozone and they again break into O2. That means ozone depletion takes place at a very accelerated pace when the polar stratospheric clouds are there. Getting my point? So in the absence of the polar stratospheric cloud, yes, ozone depletion takes place, but very slow because of the formation of these reservoirs. But when these polar stratospheric clouds are there, this takes place at a very fast pace, very accelerated space. Now, at Antarctic, this takes place very frequently because the polar vortex are strong. The formation of the stratospheric polar clouds is strong. Hence, the ozone depletion is strong. Hence, the ozone hole is formed at a more intensely at the Antarctic, not at the Arctic. But that is why Arctic ozone hole is rare as compared to the Antarctic ozone hole. Getting my point? So ozone hole are developing over Antarctic every year, are very common during the southern hemisphere spring. Okay. So Arctic stratosphere is usually very isolated than its Antarctic counterpart, right? And this explains why the polar vortex in the northern hemisphere is usually weaker than the perturb. So in the north, the polar vortex is weak as compared to the southern counterpart. Okay. Then Arctic ozone hole is usually unusual in that we have only have events like about this once per decade. Every 10 years happens in the Arctic, not in the Antarctic. Okay. Then yes. So what was in the news? Because this Copernicus satellite, that's a Europe's satellite, has found the big ozone hole over the Arctic that later on filled up. Okay. So later on, a rare hole that has opened up in the ozone layer above the Arctic got closed recently. So you can see a hole opened up and then you can see the water also there. Water from the seas basically. Right. And what are the major reasons for this Arctic hole was the polar vortex during the winter. Very strong and persistent polar vortex. So if the polar vortex becomes very strong and persistent, then the ozone hole becomes strong. So what about this Copernicus? This is Europe's eye on the Earth and this is by the ESA, not by NASA, is not there. European Space Agency. So Arctic ozone hole, the polar vortex is a large area of the low pressure. Let's quickly wrap it up. So polar vortex is a large area of low pressure and the cold air surrounding both the Earth pole. First, it always exists near the pole but weakens in the summer and strengthens in the winter. Yes. The term vortex refers to counterclockwise flow of the air that helps the colder air near the poles, like that. Right? It is locked in the Arctic. Stable, profound cold air allowed the lofty clouds to form this polar stratospheric clouds. So these polar stratospheric clouds are formed. These clouds provide the ideal environment for the human-made chemical CFCs to react with the sunlight and the process that we have shown. What process takes place in the polar stratospheric cloud? Okay. So yes, this robust polar vortex also prevent this ozone rich air from other regions from washing into this Arctic. which kept the ozone levels depleted. So that's the overall things that we understood. So we understood about this polar vortex very briefly, is stratospheric polar cloud we have seen, and then the ozone phenomena we have seen, depletion, which takes place in both Arctic and both Antarctic. In Arctic it is more predominant, in Antarctic it is less predominant, but when the polar vortex is strong, it becomes dominant in the Arctic as well. Okay, let us see a few questions and let us wrap up this whole thing. First is, consider the following statement with reference to the fifth state of matter that we have read in the previous session. It was predicted by the combined work of the Einstein and the Satyendra Bose. First, it is formed when the gas is warmed at an extremely high temperature. In this state, the cluster of the atoms begin functioning as a single quantum object with both wave and the particle properties. Which of the following statements is right? We have not read the third statement. That is why the answer is learn through questions. So you can add this point as well. So we have seen that it forms at the very low temperature, almost absolute zero temperature, not at a very high temperature. Okay, very high temperature was plasma, fourth state of matter. So the second statement is wrong. The only 1 and 3 are right. Let us see the next question. The term deep fake sometimes in the news. What is this deep fake? Very interesting. Deep fake. What is this deep fake? Very important. You can use this also in the main examination as an example of the use of this artificial intelligence, how this is causing harm to the people and all these things. So deep fake is basically this. For example, you can see Obama. This is the reference. And what they can do, they can fit anything. For example, Obama currently saying something, democracy is good and all this, but they can say anything. They can portray any word Obama is saying. They can change basically the lyrics of it, right? So they can superimpose a digital composite to an existing audio or video. For example, you can see the same video of Obama saying some bad words about democracy, some bad words about this electoral process, some good words about terrorism or something, which can disturb the social order, which can cause some really troubling things in the electoral cycle or in the society, right? So basically the idea is to manipulate the appearance and the voices of the people into real looking footage. This is also being done to create the celebrity pawns as well. So that is why a lot of issues are there with respect to this deepfake. So deepfake are created through AI, and also it is not very tough to create the deepfake, as like anyone, it is said that like anyone can create a deepfake to promote their chosen agenda. So option is B, the algorithm used to manipulate the appearance and the voices into this real looking footage. Next question is static question. In ancient India, which factor led to the rise of the Magadha Empire? Its capital is at Pataliputra, a true water fort. Its location in the Gangetic Plains enabled the peasants to produce surplus grains and store for tough times. It was benefited by the rise of town and the use of the metal money. Which of the following statements is right with respect to the rise of the Magadha Empire? Right. So all the statements are right actually. The rise of the Magadha Empire is related to all the three factors. Yes, Pataliputra was a water fort, rivers and all those things were there. And they enabled, the trade was very good, right? The location was very good because Gangetic Plains is one of the most fertile regions in the world. And yes, the rise of towns, trade and metal money started. All this helped the rise of the Magadha Empire. Next is the communication through optical fibers. Optical fiber can be important because National Optical Fiber Network has been launched by the Prime Minister again. And they have said that under 1,000 days, every panchayat will be connected through this optical fiber network. So, statements, it works using the principles of the total internal reflection of light. Electromagnetic interference does not occur while transmitting the information over the electric fiber optic. Sorry. It permits the higher bandwidth and transmission over the long distance compared to the copper cable. Which of the following statements is right? So, you must have read in your previously that it works on the principles of the total internal reflection. So core and the cladding principle. You must know the reflective index of the core and the cladding. What is the relation? For example, when the light goes from a less dense to more dense medium, what happens? It bends, right? It happens like this, and it when goes from more dense to less dense medium, it like this that happens, right? So if we keep on reducing this, then what will happen? Total internal reflection will take place. So the mu of the core, because from core to the cladding it is going, so the core refractive index of the core will be more and the reflective index of the cladding will be less, and that is how the total internal reflection phenomena takes place. So it's an electrically non-conducive, because it is following the light, and that is why it is not reduced. A lot of the transmission loss does not take place, right? We can transfer the signals over the long period at a high bandwidth, very high long distance and very good speed one can transfer. The same cannot happen in the copper wire, because a lot of high losses happens at the very high frequency in those copper wires, which was earlier being the case. Even if you install this Airtel and the new Jio also, they also use this fiber network to give the internet to us. Okay, so the fiber also are immune to this interference, and the signals are transmitted as light instead of the current. Okay, so the answer is all three of them are right. Remember, electromagnetic interference does not take place, the speed is very high, and that is why it is being chosen as one of the good technology to transfer the internet. The last question of our discussion: which of the following are the application of the carbon dots? Targeted drug delivery, detecting herbicide pollution, increasing the efficacy of the solar cell, and bioimaging. Carbon dots. Okay, so whenever these questions come, carbon dot is basically a nanoparticle. So whenever these questions come, majority of the time all the options are right. Why? Because you see, these are frontier technologies. There is nothing you cannot do, something like that, or someone, at least some researcher in some university must be trying something with these things to do, right? And that is why majority of the time all the options are right in such questions. Okay, so carbon dot, let us see very quickly. Carbon dot is a carbon based material in the size of the tens of the nanometer. They have very good quality of the non-toxicity, biocompatibility. They are being used in bioimaging. For example, they are being used as a herbicide. Carbon dots can help detect the can help detect the herbicide pollution. Okay, they are also used in the manufacture of the solar cell because of the environmentally freed and relatively cheaper material. So they can increase the efficiency of the solar cell and the light emitting LEDs. So whenever such questions come, always remember that majority of the time, and UPSC does ask one question out of the 100 like this only. So don't, even if you have not read, the majority of the time the option is that all of them are right. So that's end of the session, everyone. Let us very quickly see what we have done. So we started with a discussion on Mission Hope. Then we talked about this UAE's first mission. Then we talked about in-orbit debris monitoring and tracking system by a startup of India known as the Ding Gantra. Then NeoVoice and Comet, global outbreak alert and response network we have seen working in complement with the WHO. Then Venus Coronae, we have seen that this ITER experiment, we have seen this Phobos, Mars second moon. Then asteroid, we have seen that lunar polar exploration, Japan and India. Mika satellite of China, they have established this quantum key distribution. Quantum computing is also very important this year. I have discussed in detail quantum computing, right? So do remember that. Please recall that. If you have that in mind, that's wonderful. Entanglement, superimposition, both the principles that we have read. Polar vortex, we have read polar vortex, polar stratospheric cloud, why Arctic zones are rare in compared to the Antarctic zones, Arctic ozone hole versus the Antarctic ozone hole, and these things. Then the 5 questions: fifth state of metal, Bose-Einstein condensate, then deep fakes, then Maggid Empire, then optical fiber. We have one question we have seen, and the last question was the application of the carbon dots. So with this, we finish our sessions for prelims 2020. Best of luck to the students for the prelims 2020. Don't get nervous. It's just an exam. It's just one day. Give your best. Be calm. Be composed. And try to address each and every question. There is one very good thing one of my friend has told me every time whenever I went for the exam. She told me that the answer lies in one of the 3 options. You have the 4 options in front of you. Answer is within that. It is not a main exam where you have to write something down. It is, answer is in front of you. You just have to find that answer. And this is the line which helped me motivate a lot, right? So answer is in front of you, just do it. Just go ahead and find that answer, right? Now it's easy. Answer is in front of you, just pick up, and that is the right answer. So I hope a lot of you make go through this prelims process, and do join us after the prelims as well. We will have a very good mains program. Many of them, majority of them are free of cost, and few of them are very good programs. One program I'll be coming up with the mains impetus program, so you can join that or as well. Very, I think that will be available very soon. The program details will be available very soon. So do well in the exam. See you in the next class. From August month, we'll be continuing our current affair. We'll take a hiatus of at least 20 days to 30 days. Then we'll start the August month process. And that will be very structurally improved from the way we have done in this particular year. Bye-bye for now. Thank you, everyone.